So hey, what's up? This is your boy Officer Clay. Recently, I was thinking about an incident that probably occurred at least maybe 22 years ago, somewhere between 22, 25 years ago. That would be like 96 to 99, somewhere up in there. At any rate, lately, I guess all the things that have been going on in the world have, made me start considering life lessons that I've learned through life growing up in the south side of Chicago, Inglewood neighborhood, how that defined the way I think today, the way I see things, my common sense approach to life, and having things based upon facts, instead of hearsay and innuendo, or emotions, what have you. And, but yeah, something prompted me to remember an unfortunate incident that occurred, like I said, between 22 and 25 years ago. It involved a young black man from my neighborhood. I'm thinking he couldn't have been no older than 18, 19 years of age at the time. He was pursuing a trade in something involving electronics, I believe, or maybe electrician, I'm not sure. But whatever it was, he was establishing himself as a man, as a self-sufficient man. He had a young lady who he had intentions of marrying in the near future once he was able to gain the education required to enter into the field that he was pursuing. So, at any rate, the girl lived in a project area, which isn't too far from Inglewood. Basically, a one-bus trip. You have to cross the Dan Ryan Expressway, about two full city blocks. You get to State Street, and then you can kind of walk maybe 3 or 4 blocks north of 55th. And that's where she lived. She lived in projects called Robert Taylor homes. At any rate, he would go over there to visit her, and the guys who lived in the home, in the apartment complex, they were kind of jealous of the fact that somebody from another neighborhood was coming into that neighborhood and dating a girl who maybe they had feelings for themselves or what have you. So he was approached on a couple of occasions, maybe 2 to 3, and on the last occasion, prior to the incident, he was told that he was no longer able to come over there, and if he came over there, something was going to happen to him. I believe that could have been the choice of words that they used. Either that, or they actually threatened, like, I'll kill you if you come back around. Subsequently, he did come back around. I remember having conversation with him saying that, hey, listen, maybe you can have her meet you, come down to State Street at the very least to meet you, or maybe, walk over a couple of blocks to the Dan Ryan area, which is busy and, with the traffic somewhat safe, meet you there, and then you all can head wherever you all are going from there, just to be strategic and not, have to engage in some type of foolishness. And I remember him saying that, I don't care how people feel, I don't care what they said. I'm a man. I'll go where I want to. And I kind of advised him against it. He decided to go his own way. Ultimately, he did return there. He was shot and was killed. The moral of the story is sad because he was going to be a productive member of the society. But the moral of the story that I have to offer about situations like that is, like, don't get your emotions tied into anything, that any type of situation that you have with another individual. Always think strategically, and because we live in a culture of a subculture. We live amongst a subculture that looks at violence as a means to an end, or as an end to a means, or what have you. Life isn't respected the way it should be. So we have to consider, do I take what many consider to be an L on today and then have, 70 years of life afterwards, to talk about those situations like I can at the moment. I can talk about stuff that happened, you know, 30, 40 years ago. I can have those conversations. Do you do that, or do you engage and take a chance on possibly losing your life? You know, a L today is a W tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure the lifestyle that the person lived that took his life, that person that took his life, the lifestyle that they live, caught up with them in some form or fashion. Either they're no longer with us, which is more than likely how the street repays a person who lives that type of lifestyle, or they're possibly incarcerated for who knows how long. Either which is a L. That's an ultimate L. But do you take what is considered these days an L, move along with your life, have a productive one, or do you tangle with people who don't ultimately care about life, who don't care about taking another person's life? Do you take that risk just to prove that, okay, I'm a man? Don't immerse yourself in that subculture. Of course, we got to live around it. Depending on what neighborhood we live in, it's something that you have to deal with in life. But consider whether or not it's worth it. Some people are willing to take that gamble. If you have common sense, you shouldn't be willing to. That young man didn't have the opportunity to ever get married, to have a family. There's a lot of experiences that he could have had, and I'm sure if we could talk to him on today, he would make the decision not to engage in that type of foolishness, not to, say, hey, listen, my manhood is based upon how I respond to this individual incident, and when it's not, that's not what being a man is about. Being a man is being able to represent yourself as one, to be of good character, to garner respect by who you are and the way that you behave, the way you act, what your values are, to take on your responsibility regardless of how challenging it is, and do whatever it takes to overcome it, without violating a law in order to do so. Being strong-willed and being prideful in that fact alone. Okay, I'm going to do what it takes to take care of my family, to take care of myself, to assure that I'm successful, that I can look at myself in the mirror and be proud of what I see. That's a man, not that foolishness that the streets would dictate to you. So that's something to consider, especially for young people, for anyone. Consider that. Consider what could come of just one single incident of that nature against what I can do with the rest of my life if I move around those type of incidents, if I'm strategic in the way that I live my life and don't engage with people who might not have the same values as me.